Putting out music may not be as simple as hitting upload on streaming platforms only for it to drown in a sea of new music. That's where music distribution companies enter to help artists find their place in the competitive industry. Telling us more about the inner workings of music distribution, actor and music executive Guji Lorenzana. Hello, Guji. Welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. Nice to be here.
You know what, Guji? I was looking at a reel of yours this morning, calling on new artists and established indie artists as well, because Symphonic Distribution is here. You are the territory manager of Symphonic Distribution. Let's talk about music distribution. How does this work? How does this help artists here in the Philippines? And how different is this from music labels?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I had this conversation with my friends, my dad, my titos and titas, about they don't really understand what music distribution is. So the easiest way for me to explain it is, if you wanted to, let's say, if you had a product and you want to put it into a store, then you use a distribution company to be able to put your product into the store. So in this case, the stores here are Spotify, our Apple Music, our YouTube Music, and the way to deliver your product, your music to those stores would be through a distribution company.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you obviously when you do that, I mean, like, you have a background in all of this as being a performer, being an actor, working with music. But then, how would you say all of those experiences has contributed to the role that you have right now? Does it give you a better understanding of what the artist actually needs, considering everything that they have to go through?
I think so. I moved here from the United States in 2006 to pursue music.
Yeah.
So I was an independent artist for a while before joining Star Magic to become an actor. But during that time, distribution was mainly physical.
Yeah.
There was no digital distribution yet for music. Right. But going through that process, syempre, I understood the struggles that an independent artist goes through. So I think that gives me a bit of an edge in how to attack the business.
Okay.
And also how to help artists that are independent, that are trying to find their way into the industry. At the same time, I also managed artists at one point before becoming a music executive. And I also helped them go through the process, struggle through this industry as an independent. I think that I have the knowledge that can definitely help them in ways to tackle the industry in a much more efficient and effective way.
And I want to talk about what's the distribution process like, especially for, I'm asking for a friend, actually a co-host, for people who want to be known in music like Anne. So what's the process like?
Oh my God.
She has an audition ready.
Oh, perfect. That's great.
This is so embarrassing.
That's great.
But yeah, what's the distribution process like for Anne, for example?
Yeah, well, I mean, there are many platforms out there now to distribute your music. You could sign up to several of these, sign up, pay a fee, and if you have an independent song that you've recorded with some friends that you want to put out there, you could definitely sign up for these paid services and have your music distributed to Spotify, to different places.
Yeah.
In fact, at Symphonic, we also have a starter program, which you can pay and have a chance to distribute your music to Spotify and all these different platforms globally. But we also have a partner program where what I usually do as a part of my business is seeking business with independent labels, seeking business with independent artists who may need just a bit more.
Yeah.
Or probably just who are a bit more experienced, who have been in the game for a bit longer and just kind of need that extra push and that extra kick to kind of push their career even further. Not saying that if you're starting out you have no chance, because everybody needs a moment. And if there is a moment where your music ends up skyrocketing because of that specific moment, whether it trended, whether somebody huge shared it on TikTok or any social media, then you should capitalize on the moment, and start to release more music. And then generally speaking, I think we just live in a really great time for independent music and just for music in general, because if you're inspired to do something or inspired to write a song and you feel like you want to let people know about it, it's not hard to do that anymore.
Yeah.
We have access to social media and access to all these different platforms. Like Symphonic is one of them. and being able to do that, just the artists can be as creative as they want. They just have all the tools ready for them to do that. Where in the past it was a bit more difficult.
Yeah.
You weren't able to just sign up with a distributor and distribute your music. You couldn't just put your CDs out there.
Right.
But I remember back in the day, I would burn my CDs and hand them to friends.
Yeah, of course.
We would do stuff like that.
Iwan mo sa Tower Records.
But yeah, I mean, now it's more accessible.
Yeah.
So it's a great time for independent music. I believe.
So as our production loads the audition of Anne for you, one of the things that I find really interesting is that there is just so much content out there today. When I mean content, like all of these people who want to get into music use their social media platforms, and sometimes it just goes viral from there, and it becomes a life in its own. I remember just talking to a bunch of people in production in general, especially those who work in TV or in film. There's just so much TV, there's so much film out there these days that sometimes you don't have time to watch them all. I can only imagine it's the same for music, considering that you're there to help out distribution in terms of distributing, but at the same time, it feels like is there a bit of a, how do I say this? You have to get a certain artist first because there's just so many ways to distribute, and another one, there's just so much talent out there that it feels like if you don't hit a certain talent first or promote certain talent first,
you're right on the money when it comes to that, and that's where I was going to allude to in what I was talking about was, even though it's so accessible to release music, it's just how do you shine? How do you stick out amongst all the many artists that release music every single day? One of my prior positions when I was working, starting out the music industry, I was a programmer for for YouTube Music.
Yeah.
So I would be the ones to pick and choose some of the music that would get playlisted.
Yeah.
Diba?
That's a hard job.
And that's a hard job,
really hard job
because every week you're listening to a bunch of songs, you're reading a bunch of pitches, and you have to pick and choose which one would you want to kind of promote within the country, right? So the editors even have a hard time at the DSPs. The people at the DSPs have a hard time trying to pick and choose what songs stand out. So artists have a hard time having to create a pitch, having to do all these things that they need to do in order to shine. But yes, that's very difficult. I think, you guys were talking about AI earlier.
Yeah.
You guys were talking about artificial intelligence and where things are moving, as far as technology is concerned. With so much, I would say, fake out there, I think the best way to shine today is authenticity. And that is the only way, I think, nowadays. People get hooked onto stories, onto people's journeys, and we see that all the time, and that's one reason why a lot of our Filipino heroes globally are in tennis and in different sports, etc. are attaching, like we attach ourselves to them as part of our culture because we like seeing people rise up, diba? And I think it goes the same with being an artist. I think that you have to tell your story, you have to be authentic. You cannot really follow the trend. I think it's about standing out. That's how you will stand out. If you jump on a trend, there's hundreds and thousands of people jumping on the same exact trend. So if you really want to stick out and be a true artist, be true to yourself, and that's where it starts.
Yeah. Now that you're talking about, these technological advancements and AI coming into the picture, how do you think this will affect, the local music scene and the music scene across the globe? Yeah,
that's a great question. Symphonic is one of the few, I think, companies in this distribution space that's really tackling AI in such a very effective way. We're very proactive in it, and it's great. I think we have to accept the fact that it's a part of our culture today. We have to accept the fact that it's a part of music creation and the things that we do. But now we're at that point, at that crossroads where we have to figure out now what is accepted, where do we give credit where it's due, how do we go about that. So I think the only way for us to adapt is to really adapt to it. And like you said, that we have to figure out a way to understand what this model will look like. We have to understand what the future can become for AI and music creation. But at the same time, we have to also celebrate and make sure that artists are well compensated.
Yes.
That they get the credit where it's due for
Right.
themselves. And we're taking steps in order to do that. I think Symphonic, we have some of the best options out there as far as music distribution is concerned. One of my goals for Asia is to make sure that every artist gets what they deserve when it comes to streaming royalties and their splits. That we make sure that they are credited. There's not a day that goes by where I'm working through copyright issues and things like that because we really, really want to make sure that our artists get the credit and the compensation that they need and that they deserve for the credit that they've made. So I think we're doing a great job there, and I'm hoping to bring that and spread that out all through Asia, the Philippines, and everywhere that I'm overseeing for the company. So, we've been around since 2006. It's been a great transition for me as an artist to be here because, like you've mentioned earlier, I have kind of the knowledge and I understand the struggle of the independent artist.
Yes.
But, I haven't left showbiz.
Yeah.
So you're still in showbiz.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your background. So you're an actor before, and I believe you're also a DJ of our sister company.
Yes.
You're in
Yes,
Mellow 94.5. So can you talk more about your...
Seven.
Oh, okay. It says 94.
No, it's 0.7. It's okay.
0.7.
Yes.
Okay, that was not on me. Okay, I was just reading my notes. But anyway, can you talk more about your background and how you decided to make that switch to become a music distributor?
It's interesting. With Symphonic, when I was in college, tagal na, this is 2001.
It's not too long ago.
Not too long ago, yeah. I was actually working for a distributor. I was working for a company called Valley Media in the United States. That was the distributor of like Death Row Records, like that, but fully physical music at the time. So I had the experience in it. But syempre, I was a singer. I had bands in the United States. My tita Joanne was telling me, who's living in the States at that time, na sabi niya, you should give it a shot. You auditioned for American Idol. Simon liked your voice. Why don't you try it? So I moved to the Philippines to pursue music, and it was a difficult time. Like I said, it was the height of piracy. So I ended up becoming an actor instead, for the most part. Although they launched me naman as a singer, I just geared more towards the acting side. So I did soaps. I did teleseries. I had a really famous love team at the time. And then after a while, like when I missed the music industry, I released music. I had a band called TFTI where I think until today we have like 11 million streams on YouTube or views on YouTube.
Yeah, congratulations.
And we're doing really well. It's an old song, I think, but it's trended. It did really well. So I was able to do that. I was able to accomplish a few things there. And I really wanted to get back into music and wanted to use what I studied in school and do all of that. So I started managing artists. I did radio first. Radio for a long time. Actually, that was before I joined showbiz.
Okay. So that was your first stint here in the Philippines.
Yeah, I realized, since I came from the States, I couldn't speak Tagalog yet.
Welcome to my world.
I might as well use that.
That's a perfect place for you.
Which is great. I miss radio so much, actually. So I miss my Mellow 94.7 family. A lot of my friends have moved on to do other things, like Vince, who was a DJ, who owns the blog, does really well. But then, I transitioned to music, being a music executive from managing artists, working for YouTube Music. I was heading the biggest distributor in the world for the Philippines, and then moved on to the Symphonic, where now I'm in charge of all of Asia.
Yeah, Guji, it's just so great just hearing about your journey. I mean, like I was telling you off air a while ago that I actually caught a play of yours back in 2008 when you did West Side Story. But at this point, we did promise our viewers something, which was the audition tape of Anne.
Oh my goodness.
Here's the thing: we don't know how to pitch properly.
Yeah. So can you tell us what an example of a good pitch
we're running out of time, so it has to be an elevator pitch.
Okay.
So what I'm going to present to you here is a bit of a throwback to a time wherein, music, at least Filipino music, it felt more romantic in a way. And Anne's voice really brings it out. I can't say what it is. Maybe it's the old-timiness.
This
maybe
is my
it's
April Fool
maybe
prank.
it's
This was the prank I was
Naalala
waiting
ko dati
for.
kasi, like there's a certain tone that only exists at a certain time frame, and we brought it to 2025. All right? So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the
Oh my
audition tape of
God.
Anne,
Why
which we
is
played
this
over her
happening to
birthday,
me?
but now we're playing it for music executive, for her as a late birthday gift.
And mind you, she does this almost every morning.
Wait lang,
She has a
wait lang.
concert.
Wow.
Itago mo ako sa lilim ng iyong pagmamahal. Limutin ang mapaglarong kinang ng tagumpay. Sa piling mo ngayon, ako'y bituing walang ningning. Nagkukugli sa liwanag ng ating pag-ibig.
Okay, so tell us.
all right.
So Guji, how? How do
Elevator
we market
pitches.
this?
How can we sell that?
Well, if this was the voice, I would be a Turner on
Oh, yeah!
Wow.
all for that.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's great. You could feel the authenticity
Yeah.
in her voice. The performance was wonderful. You know that there's layers there. You
Yes.
know that it's just not. I'm just not a singer in the shower. I'm a singer.
Singer in the shower.
In real life.
Yeah, exactly.
Alam mo yun? So I feel like there's something that wants to come out that you want to come out of this, and
Oh my goodness.
maybe you just haven't pursued it properly yet.
Okay,
her
Guji, let's
moment.
work together.
I
It's
am-
gonna be your new collab.
She's acting like she's so embarrassed, but she's like, let's work together. I can't wait.
Kasi that was meant to be an April Fool's joke, but then I hope mga anak to. And we're just so happy that you came on this morning.
Thank you.
And we really appreciate it. And it's so educational learning more about music distribution, especially today with all of the Spotify, YouTube, and all of that. It's so fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us this morning, actor and music executive Guji Lorenzana. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much.